Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's happening right in your wallet, probably without you even thinking about it. We're diving into the secret word, keep your credit cards safe.
You see that tiny chip on your card? It was a total game changer. But what happens when that fight against fraud goes digital? Well, that's what we're exploring today, this incredible ongoing cat and mouse game between the banks and some really smart criminals.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start way back with the old swipe and sign, then move to the chip and pin revolution. After that, we'll see how fraud found a new battlefield online, look at the difference between rules and learning machines, and finally, get into the really cool stuff, the AI fraud detective.
Okay, so to really get where we are now, we have to rewind the clock a bit. Let's start with the past. Swipe and sign. For decades, this was just how you paid for things. Security was literally just a signature away. You remember this, right? It was almost like a ritual. You'd hand your card to the cashier, they'd do that classic swipe, and then you'd sign a little paper receipt. That was it. For a really long time, every single face-to-face transaction came down to that magnetic stripe and your signature. But here's the thing. This whole system was just, well, full of holes. The biggest problem? The data on that magnetic stripe is totally static. It never changes. That makes it super easy for a criminal to copy or clone your card. And let's be real, how many cashiers were actually comparing your signature to the back of the card? Not many, right? It was a massive vulnerability, and it led to just a ton of fraud that cost everyone a fortune.
So clearly, something had to change. The entire industry was desperate for an upgrade. And that upgrade, it came in the form of this tiny little computer, basically a mini fortress of security that got embedded right into our cards. This was the chip and pin revolution.
They called it EMV, which just stands for EuroPay, MasterCard, and Visa, the companies that came up with it. And its whole purpose was to fix those huge, fatal flaws of the magnetic stripe, and boy did it ever. It didn't just change the game, it pretty much rewrote the entire rulebook for how we pay for things in person.
Okay, so here's the magic trick. This is the absolute key difference. The old magnetic stripe used static data, the same info every single time. The new EMV chip, it uses dynamic data. What that means is, for every single purchase, the chip generates a unique, one-time-use cryptographic code. That code is basically a self-destructing message. It works once, and then it's totally useless. So even if a thief could copy it, it wouldn't do them any good. A cloned chip card is just a worthless piece of plastic.
Now, how do you get every single store in the world to upgrade their equipment? Well, the banks made a really smart, kind of forceful move. They created something called a liability shift. Basically, they drew a line in the sand and said, after this date, if you're a merchant and you don't have a chip reader, any fraud that happens is on you, not us. Oof, that put the financial responsibility squarely on the merchants, and it pretty much forced the entire retail industry to switch over to the new, more secure system. Pretty clever, right?
So problem solved, right? Well, not exactly. You know how it goes with security. You plug one hole, and the bad guys just find another one to exploit. And that's exactly what happened. With cloning physical cards now almost impossible, the fight didn't end. It just moved, and it moved online, to a brand new battlefield.
Yeah, with the front door locked tight, fraudsters just went around to the back window. They completely pivoted their operations to the digital world. We're talking telephone orders, mail orders, and of course the big one, the internet. All these transactions where you don't actually hand over your card. And just like that, the entire financial industry was up against a totally new and different kind of enemy.
And this wasn't a slow trickle either. The shift was fast and it was massive. Suddenly these card not present transactions, CNP for short, they became the main event. In a very short time, more than half of all credit card fraud was happening in these online card not present situations. This was the new front line in the war.
And here's the kicker, the real uh-oh moment. That super secure, powerful little chip in your card, it's completely useless when you buy something online. It can't do its one-time code magic trick if it's not physically in a reader. So yeah, the banks had to go right back to the drawing board. They had to figure out a whole new way to fight fraud in the digital world.
So what do you do? How do you protect all these online transactions? Well, two main strategies popped up. You can think of them as two different kinds of digital detectives, each with its own style. On one hand, you've got your rules-based systems. Think of this like a bouncer at a club with a very specific guest list. It follows a strict set of predefined rules, like block any transaction over 10 grand or flag anything coming from this specific country. Then you have machine learning models. This is more like a clever detective who's always learning on the job. It sifts through massive amounts of data to spot weird behavior and can adapt to new tricks from the bad guys, all on its own.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is pretty huge. The rules-based approach is static and predictable. If a new type of fraud pops up, a human has to go in and manually write a new rule to stop it. But machine learning? It's dynamic and adaptive. It learns from new data as it comes in real time. This means it can catch brand new, never-before-seen threats. The result? It's way more accurate, and you get fewer of those annoying false positives. You know, when your card gets declined for no good reason.
So which one is better? Well, the smartest people in the room realized it's not about choosing one or the other. The real future, the ultimate fraud-fighting machine, is about combining them. You take the best of both worlds and build this incredibly powerful hybrid system.
And the way they do this is really cool. The most advanced systems learn in layers. It's kind of like a sandwich, believe it or not. Each layer adds a different flavor, a different piece of the puzzle. And when you put them all together, you get the full picture of whether a transaction is legit or not.
This image shows a perfect example of that. It's a model researchers call WBW, or within, between, within. It's like a three-stage investigation. First, the AI looks within a single transaction, the amount, the location, the time of day. Then, it looks between a whole series of transactions to find suspicious patterns, like, wait a minute, a purchase in Paris and then another one in Tokyo 5 minutes later? That doesn't add up. Finally, it brings all that context together for a final decision. It's incredibly thorough.
Okay, so that's theory, but does it actually work? Oh yeah, let's look at a case study. A European payments company put a system just like this into practice, combining the old rules with this new machine learning tech. And the results they saw were, well, they were absolutely staggering.
First off, the amount of money they were losing to fraud just plummeted. We're talking a 73% decrease. That's a massive win right there. But believe it or not, that was just the beginning.
Then they looked at a really nasty type of crime called account takeover. This is where a fraudster gets complete control of your account. Well, this new AI system virtually eliminated it, a 90% drop. Just incredible.
And what does that mean for the company's bottom line? It meant they were saving an estimated $15,000, not per year, not per month, every single day. That right there is the power of smart, adaptive AI security. So you can see the journey, right? We've gone from a simple, easily forged signature all the way to a super smart AI detective. It's this amazing story of action and reaction. But here's the thing to remember. As our defenses get smarter, so do the bad guys. This arms race for our financial security is definitely not over. It just makes you wonder, what's the next move going to be?